From PNC News, it's your host, Luella Lucino.
Coffee Day, I'm Luella Lucino from PNC News, and you're watching Coffee with the Candidates Double Shot. Today, I'm here with former GPD chief, Chay Cruz, who's running as a senator under the Republican banner. Hi, Mr. Cruz. How's the campaign so far?
Hi, Luella. I'm doing well. I'm doing good. Thank you. The campaign is moving along. It's been a little bit slow because of the pandemic that we're dealing with, but we're doing the best we can. And considering that we are 1 week out from the election, I have to tell you that I'm very excited, and I look forward to seeing how the people decide on their elected leaders after this campaign season.
For your platform, I noticed that you have several priorities and you are focusing on public safety as one of your priorities. So, as a former head of GPD, so how is this going to influence your legislative priorities if elected?
With regards specifically to public safety, um, being the chief, I noticed that one of the biggest issues, what I felt over the last 4 years in my tenure as the chief, is an issue with personnel. GPD struggled with having a sufficient amount of officers in the department. It still struggles with that. The numbers are not where they need to be. So I'm looking at adequately funding the Guam Police Department. Now, I will tell you that the budget for 2021 was just passed into law, and GPD is facing a $1.4 million shortfall. That has a resounding impact on public safety on our island. Should I make it into office, should I become one of the senators in the 36th Guam legislature, I would definitely look at prioritizing public safety so that not just GPD, but the Guam Fire Department, the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency, the Department of Corrections, and all entities of public safety are adequately funded so that they can do their job, so that they have what they need to keep our island safe. And that's excuse me, one of the big priorities with regards to public safety. And then the other thing that I look at being able to do in talking to many people out there is the whole issue of transparency in public safety. So what I look to do is to revisit the Police Review Commission as an external commission to be able to increase that kind of transparency, to look at the operations that's happening in public safety, some of the administration that's going on there, to ensure that there is transparency, there is accountability, and that in turn gets the people of Guam to trust the police department and have confidence in the police department and in all the other entities in public safety.
Public safety ties in with economic recovery. So, can you also, I guess, briefly talk about this, your platform for economic recovery?
Thank you, Luel. So my platform for economic recovery is very straightforward. We know that as a result of the pandemic, we have seen 34,000 people plus go unemployed or underemployed. Many businesses have closed down or are closing down or have reduced their operational hours. So that has a resounding impact. Now, while I would say that health, safety, public safety, public education are my priorities because I see those as pillars of government. If we don't get our economy going, we're going to have bigger problems than just those three. So I think that economic recovery and growth has moved to the front seat, to the forefront, the tip of my spear, if I could speak figuratively in that manner, because it's critically important that we get our economy going. And one of the things that I look to do right off the bat is to introduce legislation that's going to reduce the business privilege tax from 5% back down to 4%. So that business that's going to want to get businesses to open back up, and the ones that are open, they're going to want to stay open, and that's gonna put money back into the pockets of the people. It's going to get people back to work. Now, I understand that there's federal assistance. There is, pandemic unemployment assistance. There's CARES Act money, but that's all federal monies that's going to dry up eventually. We as a people cannot continue to live making it by on federal assistance. We need to be able to thrive as a people. So I think that getting our economy, getting businesses back to work, getting our tourism industry is critical for us. So it's important that we do that. And in addition to lowering the business privilege tax, I look to do the same for the hotel occupancy tax and liquid fuels tax. We can reduce taxation in that regard. We can encourage business. We can encourage people to get back to work and put more money back in the pockets of our people.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. And that's it for me here, but we'll be back with more questions from Shimmy.
From Power 98, it's your host, Shimmy.
Hey guys, welcome back to Coffee with the Candidates. I am your girl, Shimmy. We're gonna have a little fun with Mr. Cruz. We got him on the line. Hi.
Hi, Hafaday Shimmy. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you
Sweet, sweet. So we're gonna have a little fun here. I got a couple of questions for you just so we can get to know you a little bit better. Now, we all know we've been on lockdown for quite some time, right? What have you and your family been doing to have a little fun?
Oh my gosh, we've been trying to focus on some of our physical fitness. I personally, I go out and I do some mountain biking. So I do that to keep up with my cardiovascular workout. Since we can't go to a gym, I've been an avid weight trainer for a long time.
Okay.
Back in the day, I was into bodybuilding, so I kind of have my home gym in my back patio. So I've been doing a lot of that to be able to stay in shape, to stay healthy, to stay fit. I'm also a certified diver, both in the military and on the recreational side of the house. So I get out with a couple other of my diving buddies, and we go and dive, and all that kind of adds to my physical fitness so that we can stay healthy, stay in shape. My family's kind of been doing the same of that. In our area here in Georgia where we live, they go out and they walk in our area. So it's relatively safe in our area over here. So they go out and they walk and they do what they can to be able to maintain their physical fitness and then get out of the house and kind of do something a little bit more fun, for lack of a better term.
Nice. You know what, me and you can relate because since the quarantine, I've been trying to work out more as well, trying to get my muscles, Nice, nice. So, Mr. Cruz, what's your favorite thing to eat? I like food.
Wow. When it comes to food, gosh, Shimmy, I served in the military for a long time, and gosh, when it comes to food, they call it chow in the military, right? Whatever's there, whatever's available. But if I had to pick a favorite food, we always love our local cuisine and stuff like that. But gosh, I'm a fan of Japanese food. I love sashimi. I love sushi. So I before the lockdown, and even when some of the restrictions were lifted, I would always try to get out or do takeout in that regard. But I'm a really big fan of Japanese food, in particular sashimi and sushi.
Yep. I'm always down for it. I am down for it. Now, before I let you go, we do have a community question, and I just want to get your answer on this. So, since COVID-19, there has been a rise in burglaries. What could we do to bring that rate down?
Shimi, that's a very good answer, and that's a good concern of the community. And I will tell you that in my time as the chief of police, we employed a strategy of policing called community-oriented policing. And that strategy got the police department to partner up with the community, to embed themselves with the community so that we can leverage their assistance, and that it made it easier for the community to work with the police department. So it was kind of there was a two-way exchange. And under that strategy of policing, one of those was a program called the Neighborhood Watch program. So while we have seen an uptick of burglaries, I will have to admit that I see that relating to two things. Number one, the massive unemployment, the 34,000 people plus who are unemployed. That could be a reason why we're seeing burglaries happening. People are not working anymore. They have no source of income. And then the other one is something that many of us are concerned with, and that's the drug problem that we have on our island, and that we see that as a result of the drugs on our island, increased the uptick in burglaries, home invasions, and thefts. So to answer the question directly, how can we get that to come down? Is by partnering with the police department, being part of that neighbor watch program, neighbors looking out for neighbors to prevent crime before it happens, to be on the lookout, so that that would be burglar would be more deterred from wanting to commit that crime. And then having that open line of communication with the community via the mayor's office or any other means of, as a conduit back to the police department, that in my time as the chief of police, we saw dividends, and we saw that there was a downtick in the number of burglaries and a downtick in the number of home invasions. So I would say that, I truly believe that one of the ways we do that is to partner with the police. Now, one of the things I was sharing with Luella is the fact that there is a shortage of personnel. But I will admit to you that even if you were to put a police officer on every street corner, on every street on this village, there will still be crime in the community. But one of the better ways to effectuate that, considering the limited resources that we have, whether it's personnel, logistics, or fiscal resources, is to develop that relationship through this strategy of policing called community policing, and developing programs where the community works with the police department to keep the community safe and bring down crimes like burglary, home invasions, and thefts.
Awesome. Wow, I love that answer. Thank you so much, Mr. Cruz, for your time and for hanging out with me here on Coffee with the Candidates.
You're welcome, Shimi. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I really appreciate that. I love the fun questions that you had up front about what I like to eat and what I do for fun, even amidst the pandemic. I appreciate that, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Cruz, and good luck. And thank you for watching Coffee with the Candidates.
Welcome back to Coffee with the Candidates. My name is Paulie Suba, representing PNC today, and I have Senator Therese Terlaye, number 10 on the Democrat ticket. Half a day, Senator?
Half a day, Polly. How are you? And half a day, everyone.
I'm doing well. Huge fan of you ever since you first became senator. So I'm very excited to see what you have planned for the 36th legislature if you are to get on. What is the plan of attack?
Well, obviously, everything's changed with this COVID pandemic and the number of job losses that we are facing right now. So we've got a couple more months that I intend to work very hard to help all the families that are really have been impacted by this pandemic. I believe if I am reelected in January, that is going to still be one of the number one priorities. It's going to have to be, how are we going to restore businesses to full capacity, and how are we going to be able to allow these families to make a living and take care of their family. So of course, I think a lot of it is based on what we do with public health. If they are going to be able to swiftly enforce the guidelines for the businesses that are operating, if they are going to be able to swiftly trace any positive contacts and get those isolated. That's really key. I think we still have a little bit more work to do in that. And so that's what I've been working very hard to do. Of course, some of the other things I think that I've always, we're working towards, but this is just accelerated it, is because of the impacts of the economy, many people are facing poverty and housing issues that they've never faced before. And so
Right.
I just think it really forces us to put on a fast track the need to put infrastructure onto more land trust properties and get other home situations in line. And of
Right.
course,
You talk
healthcare.
you talk about poverty. Have you set up any bills, or are any bills coming our way in terms of helping out the cost of living on Guam, especially during this pandemic?
Well, as you know, in the past term, we've done several of those things trying to impact this, right? So
Mm-hmm.
first, we've reduced the business privilege taxes for very small businesses, and then we try to, well, we raised the minimum wages,
Right.
and there's supposed to be another part of that coming in March, but I think we're going to have to take another look at that to make sure that we don't further adversely affect the small businesses that are,
Sure.
struggling as. But yes, we have to take care of that. I said, bringing in infrastructure will help families with housing, where, there's no way they would be able to afford bringing in the infrastructure themselves to these,
Right.
faraway tracts of land. And there are many other things. For example, healthcare, right? We want to keep the cost of healthcare down so that everybody can avail of it. And this is a big challenge. I think right now, even the government of Guam healthcare costs are soaring,
Mm-hmm.
$15 million more just this year. And we've got to get a handle on that. We've got to put a limit on it. We've got to take away, competing interests that might be the cause of this
Right.
accelerating cost.
Right. Recently, the Marine Corps officially opened the base here on Guam. How are we able to balance uh, um, having them continue on that path and also continue to keep our Chamorro rights?
Well, so when the military, told us their plans,
Mm-hmm.
this is part of the part of the balance is really we are
Mm-hmm.
struggling for balance
Right.
because the
Right.
plans have been told to us,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have had to scramble to take care of the adverse effects from those plans.
Mm-hmm.
And although we've tried to have input, when our input is not, when they don't change their plans because of the adverse effects, then we scramble to address those. For example,
Mm-hmm.
there are adverse impacts to, as you've said, historical sites,
Mm-hmm.
cultural sites,
Mm-hmm.
burial grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have tried through oversight, through active involvement, and believe me, it is a lot of work because it's so easy to just not comment on these things when
Right.
you feel like they're not going to listen to us anyways. But I refuse to be part of that. I want the record to show that we were not fools, that we know there are adverse impacts, and we are trying our best to make other recommendations to suggest they do it otherwise, to reduce those impacts or to avoid those impacts. And that's the good faith um, that we always hope for in this process. I think getting us ourselves to the table helps us to
Mm-hmm.
protect our resources for other generations way beyond us. We need to protect those cultural resources and natural resources because there's so much potential there, and really it's going to be their lifeline, and we can't even begin to fathom what that all might be right now. So we know a little, and we're trying to protect that, but I think they will be very grateful in the future if we can do a lot more to protect those right now.
Thank you, Senator. It has been so awesome watching you grow in the legislature, and I'm so proud of you. Reese of Power 98 is going to be joining you real soon.
Half a day, everybody. I hope y'all are being safe and enjoying yourself. I know it's a little bit hard to during quarantine, but I hope that Coffee the Candidates Double Shot will bring you some entertainment, especially because I have some fun questions. Please welcome, of course, Senator Therese Terlahi. Half a day, and how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. I mean, just really busy at this time, and maybe always, but very busy.
I
Yeah, and
absolutely agree. Well, I one appreciate you being here. So we don't got much time. I want to get into these fun questions because I, see some of you and I think you're amazing, but I want to get to know you some more.
okay.
Awesome.
Go to-
All right. So my first question for you is, during or not during, but after election, if you do win, I would like to know, what do you plan to eat for dinner? Like, what's the deal with that?
Oh my. Oh, well, anyone who knows me knows I love to eat, but I'm not a very good cook. So I am not picky at all. I will eat anything that my brothers will cook because they are great cooks. But no, I'm hoping, of course, I don't know how late the results will be, but I would like to eat my favorite food, carne pica.
Ooh, cut and pica. You know what? I do have to ask, since you do like cut and pica, do you like the stewing chicken, or do you like just
Yeah,
like the regular chicken? Man, that's
I
brave.
like the
I
stewing chicken.
cannot, I'm the type of girl that likes to just go right into my food. So stewing chicken gets in the way, but it's so tasty. But it's just like, I just want the chicken meat. All right. So my next question for you is, what is, you're so very busy, and I want to know, what are some ways that you relieve stress? Maybe you can help me over here. Sometimes it gets crazy
Oh,
in media.
my favorite way to relieve stress is, of course, to go visit my dad, let him tell me stories, or just, my family, of course. Think about family things. But physically, I like to go hike. I especially love to go to cultural sites, hiking and seeing these things, especially new ones that I haven't seen. And I love to go in the ocean and swim my heart out. I'm not a great swimmer, but I like to just what's down there. And we have a fascinating ocean and lots of life underneath that I am just intrigued by every time. Every time you go to the beach, it's different. So that's why I love it.
I love that. And you know what? I actually went to the beach just recently. I was so grateful that our governor was allowing, everyone to go, with, of course, being social distance. And, if you're hanging out with people outside of household, it would be 5 or less. So I definitely followed protocol. I do not want to get fined. But it was a lot of fun, and I totally agree with you. Now, I have to ask, do you have a favorite beach you like to go to? Or maybe you don't want to say that because you don't want people to follow you?
Oh, no, but you're right because you have to be careful nowadays, right?
Yes.
Things have changed. It's not like when we were young, we could go to any, the more private, the better. But
Right.
now, of course, I live in Jotnia, so I love Tagacheng. Tagacheng is still my favorite. It's just such a beautiful place, and it looks different every day. And so the sun rises there, and so that's another one of my favorite things to do. Watch the sunrise.
Oh, that sounds so beautiful. That sounds really relaxing. I definitely have to do that. See, I already feel better just thinking about the sun rising.
That's
All right, so I have one more question for you before we get into our community question. Um, y- I know you're so passionate about our culture in Guam, so I have to ask, what is your favorite thing about Guam?
oh, so many, so many. Um, Maybe, of course, the people. I mean, the people never stop surprising me. We think we know everything, and you don't know anything. You don't know the depth of their their care for each other, and that's always. I just always find that so impressive, and so to that resilience, right? Of
Yes.
course, that's one of the traits we're known for. But man, when you see it in real life, and you just surround people who have lived that, it is just so inspiring. So I love to be inspired. So of course I love the people. I love our culture. I love our cultural sites. I love our beautiful island. I love all of it.
I know. I mean, I might just be biased because I live here, but I don't know how people don't love Guam.
Right.
Well, you know what? We actually do have to move on to our community question. And the question is, so with the question being, where do you see Guam businesses in the next year or so with COVID being upon us?
They're well, I think we're all in. They are especially hard hit by this pandemic and in for a rough time. So what we have to do is everything that we can to support them. And that includes, I think, allowing them to operate safely, giving them the parameters, the data, the science that will allow them to make their plans solid. And so that we don't have to go back to closing them, but allow them to stay open and operate safely. So if they are willing to change the way they operate to make it safer, then I think we as a government should allow them to do that and help to enforce the guidelines, but also help enforce it across the board so that, one business is dependent on another. They're so interdependent. And so we really just have to get all of them to operate the same. We've got on our side also to ensure that public health can do its side of this work, right? Which is,
Of course.
besides the guidelines and besides enforcing whether they're being adhered to, the key is whether public health can isolate the positive cases quick enough to isolate them before they spread any further. That's really always been the key, still the key,
Yes.
and still the place that needs a lot of work to do.
Ab-
So they've made improvements, but I don't think any of us are satisfied yet. We have a lot of improvement to do, and that has to be it. I mean, so however long COVID is around, we have to be able, like any other contagious disease, to isolate it swiftly, and take care of those people who become ill.
Right. Of course. Well, you know what? Senator, I truly do appreciate your time. I enjoyed this interview very much, and I hope you felt the same. It was very nice getting to know you so much more. I mean, like I said, I only see you on the TV and I only see you on the videos, but it's nice to talk to you here in studio. Well, thank you again for joining us on Coffee with the Candidates Double Shot. That was Senator Therese Terlahi running for the Democratic side. I really just want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you so much for, being here. Coffee with the Candidates, a double shot. We'll see you in the next episode. We will see you in the next episode. Please be safe and have a wonderful day.